CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
An abandoned 911 call had West Shore emergency responders burning the midnight oil last night, only to discover that it may have all been a prank. The distress call came in at about 10 o'clock last night that a canoe had overturned in the water. Officers didn't get a lot of detail because the caller hung up. Emergency responders used GPS to track the call, which had come from the Portage Inlet area in View Royal.
We sent a number of resources into that area. Saanich Police Department officers, their fire department, Bureau of Fire Department's boat, as well as the Coast Guard, entered into that area, as well as our own officers, searching the area, trying to locate an individual. We were unable to locate anybody last night as a result of the resources and the search that was conducted in the area. So at this point, we are continuing our investigation, trying to determine where this phone call came from, whether somebody was actually in distress at the time, or whether we're looking at something else here.
West Shore RCMP are now carefully listening to that 911 call in case it bears any clues. Beachcombers found more than they bargained for on a beach near Tofino, a rare find that could have blown up in their faces, might have killed them. An unexploded mortar round from the Second World War was found in the Wickaninnish sand dunes by a Parks Canada volunteer helping the staff restore the ecosystem. 19 Wincomox explosives personnel were called in. They disposed of the mortar. Explosive experts encased it in sandbags and detonated it. A reminder, if you ever come across anything like that, you should not touch it, but contact police. Well, as students have been supporting Anti-Bullying Day across British Columbia, adults are joining in. They're saying that corporate bullying needs to stop too. You may have seen the pink signs in the parking lot outside the BC Hydro headquarters in Saanich this morning. The protesters there say that Hydro has been bullying them to install smart meters on their houses, and they say that has to come to an end.
Numerous requests have been dismissed or ignored. People have been intimidated. They've been threatened to have their power turned off for legal action against them. This is what I consider bullying. This is completely unfair and really unwarranted. People are not looking to break the law. They simply want to have a choice what goes on their own homes.
Meantime, an investigation by CTV News has revealed that many people with smart meters have seen a big spike in their bills. They've seen the anti-bullying protests as well outside Hydro offices in Nanaimo and Port Hardy today. Well, a farmer in central Saanich is hoping you leap into action and help support island crops before spring has fully bloomed. The daffodil harvest is underway already on the Saanich Peninsula. Vancouver Farms is the country's top producer of the bright yellow flowers. Looking for some extra hands in the weeks to come. The farmers say they need a lot of help picking the bulbs before the bumper crop blooms.
We've picked about just over 1 million blooms already out there in the fields, and the first shipment left today. So we've been quite busy actually for the last few weeks. Right now we've got a large amount of flowers coming out of the fields. It's really good conditions. So right now we need to have people registering and calling our hotline to make sure that when the weather breaks back into picking weather, that we can give everyone a call and bring them out to the farm. We've gone through a list of 600 people locally to get to where we are now, and we're not even a quarter of the way through our season.
Vancouver Farms is bringing about 40 workers from Mexico to help pick in the fields. If you'd like to earn some extra cash and help a local farm, go to daffodil.com and click on the employment link. Of course, they want to get them picked and shipped before Cancer Month in April. Well, the question tonight, should bullying be considered a crime in Canada? The focus of a new Angus Reid poll that suggests the majority of Canadians do want bullying to be considered a criminal act in certain cases. Bullying is not currently regarded as a criminal offence in Canada, but more than 2/3 of the roughly 1,000 adult Canadians who were surveyed believe it should be. And about 90% of those who were polled support the inclusion of cyberbullying laws.
The main difficulty we have online is somebody can say something nasty and it stays there forever. So having a law that deals with this type of issue is something that Canadians clearly are concerned about. 90% of them want to see something happen so we can basically do away with cyberbullying.
Bullying is a really complicated problem. And so the laws against bullying, whether it's cyberbullying or other kinds of bullying, aren't always effective. So we're going to need to do a lot more than just have legislation.
In most instances, cyberbullying is considered as dangerous or more so than other bullying because of the anonymity the internet provides. The survey found middle and high school students were most likely to use technology as a way to cyberbully.
CTV News. News Vancouver Island Report.
Oceanside RCMP are trying to track down the person who shot a dog near the Qualicum fish hatchery. A Qualicum woman was walking her 2 dogs yesterday evening when one got away and ran out into an open field out of her sight. Just seconds later, a single shot rang out. The woman found her dog bleeding from a single gunshot wound. The dog's being treated by a vet. It is expected to recover. But police want to know who pulled the trigger. If you know anything about it, you're asked to contact Oceanside RCMP. Meantime, SPCA officials are hoping you can help provide them with some information and some care for 7 badly emaciated puppies and their mother rescued from a home near Ladysmith. The German Shepherd Cross's pups were surrendered by their owner. An investigator for the SPCA happened to be in the neighborhood investigating another animal cruelty complaint and happened to stumble on the mother and her pups when the mother ran past the SPCA's van on the street. The investigator followed the dog, and what she found was a shock.
When I arrived at the residence, witnessed 6 extremely emaciated puppies sitting out on the front lawn, some of which were, very weak and weren't moving very much. I did speak with the owners, who basically had the attitude that the dogs were of no longer any interest to them.
The dogs were severely dehydrated and emaciated, and several had serious wounds on their bodies that hadn't been treated. They were all rushed to Island Veterinary Hospital for emergency care. And while they were being examined, the vets discovered sticks and stones in their stomachs and think the dogs had resorted to eating them out of desperation.
These puppies came in such a state, so emaciated, so skinny, their hips pointing out, their spine showing, their ribs, probably the skinniest puppies I've ever seen. It can be a little hard to tell just how skinny they are sometimes because they're so full of worms and parasites that their bellies are actually distended. But if you look at the bones in the back and stuff, you can see that. So once we get rid of those worms, we'll see even more how just badly emaciated these puppies were.
5 of the pups are at the Nanaimo SPCA. 1 is in foster care. The mother and 1 puppy are still under veterinary care. Charges of animal cruelty are pending. The SPCA says it would be grateful for any assistance in paying for the pups' care. Donations can be made online or by calling the Nanaimo SPCA. Catalyst Paper reports a massive loss for 2011. The company says it suffered a net loss of $974 million, blaming formidable economic and currency headwinds. The company owns 2 mills on Vancouver Island in Port Alberni and Crofton, and both communities fear for the potential job loss if the mills shut down. Catalyst has been granted creditor protection until the end of April. The much-needed new emergency room at Nanaimo Regional General Hospital continues to take shape, and it could be admitting its first patients by this fall. The space will be significantly larger than the current ER and will be high-tech with state-of-the-art equipment. The emergency room will also have significant amounts of natural light streaming in. The Vancouver Island Health Authority says that was done deliberately and strategically, a theory known as evidence-based design.
We can demonstrate clearly that having natural light and an awareness of nature has a dramatic effect, a dramatic healing effect for patients and for staff. We know that it reduces medication errors. We know that it reduces stress, reduces overtime and sick time.
Nanaimo's new emergency room will treat about 55,000 patients each year. VHA says the project's on time and on budget, expected to be complete by late summer.